Hello, I'm Sarah Subiata Bennett, your host of the Dallas Express video podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to bring you an insightful conversation with Rania Mankarious, the CEO of Crimestoppers of Houston and author of The Online World, What You Think You Know and What You Don't. Later, we'll soar above the hustle and bustle of the big city with a tour of the Reunion Tower GeoDeck and Crown Block restaurant, offering a really refreshing escape from the urban worries. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Hi, Rania. I'm so happy to be sitting virtually with you today. You're such an accomplished woman. I know you're in Houston right now. I'm here in Dallas. You're the CEO of Crimestoppers in Houston. It's a nonprofit that operates as a tip line, but not just that. You do tons of community engagement and education for not only Houston, but Dallas. Would you mind giving me some insight on, one, what inspired you to tackle all these efforts, and two, what your day-to-day looks like?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be with you. And yes, being the CEO of Crimestoppers of Houston is a tremendous blessing. We are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to solve and prevent crime, and we do it in partnership with citizens, media, and the criminal justice system. For me personally, my background, I have a master's in marriage and family therapy and went on to law school and really just wanted to help people, didn't find a place in sort of the therapy or the law. Stumbled upon Crimestoppers of Houston and instantly fell in love with the mission. The tip line solves some of the largest felony cases coming out of Houston, but also touching other parts of the country. And then proactively, we are boots on the ground in the schools, in the community, able to combat crime before it can take place. And that is a tremendously valuable mission. It's an honor to be sort of leading the way for Houston, and I get to work with the most incredible people.
Thank you for sharing that. It's certainly impressive. I know you have some profound numbers that speak to the success that your organization has had. But whenever I look at some of these numbers that I'm about to delve into, it worries me, Rania. As of July 2023, Houston's population is at about, 2.3 million. Dallas is at about 1.3 million. And Dallas versus Houston's crime per 100,000 residents is generally regarded as more dangerous. And now, whenever I look at these numbers, I see homicide for Dallas at 22% higher than Houston, and this is per 100,000 residents. And human trafficking related offenses, it's 180% higher than Houston. Can you elaborate on any of the strategies that your organization has employed to help contribute to these comparatively lower egregious crime rates in Houston versus Dallas?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Houston, we were at an all-time high about 2-3 years ago, and our numbers have trended down, and we're so thankful for that. But our theory is, you know, until we're at all-time lows, we're not going to sort of put down the fight and start celebrating, because one victim of murder, homicide, human trafficking is one too many. And I know you agree. But I'll tell you, when we found that we were at this all-time high, we really did 4 things. One, we sounded the alarm. We said, stop, something is going on, and it requires all of our attention. We then focused our attention on solutions. We studied the issue. We looked at the trends. We looked at the data. We started to have press conferences and work with media. We launched something called Breaking Bond to highlight some of these cases that might be leading to the alarming rates in crime we were having at the time. We shared the outcome. We did a lot of education, a lot of discussion, and then we offered solutions. Again, we don't want to just sound the alarm and create concern. We wanted to look at what can we do now. So we worked with the DA on a catch a killer program. We worked on legislative changes. We wanted to speed up trials that involved murder. We wanted to make sure laws were changed where it was appropriate. And again, harnessing the community's concern into proactive engagement, because you'll see this for periods of time. The community is not going to really look at crime, and then when it gets to this breaking point, they look at crime, but they look at it with emotion and anger, and they start yelling at anyone and everybody across the entire spectrum of criminal justice. And we said, listen, we've really got to go back to Civics 101. Who is responsible for what? And that's not to focus blame in one area in particular. Not at all. It's to say, let's understand who's responsible for what, so we can come to the table with appropriate, respectful solutions with the right players in place. And that has made a huge difference in Houston.
I would think so. I would think so. And you mentioned a catch of killer program. What is that?
So basically, we work with the district attorney's office to look for the most wanted, the most violent murderers, and we engage the community and say, look, this is our focus this week. Help us find these top 5 murderers that are walking around the streets of Houston, or maybe they've left Houston, maybe they're in Dallas now. It doesn't matter. There's no end to the reach of the community or the tip line. And together, working with the community, working with law enforcement, working with our media partners, we are able to get the information that leads us to the whereabouts of these wanted defendants and bring them back to justice.
So Chief Eddie Garcia advocates for a force of 4,000 officers. Does this imply that Houston should aim for 8,000 as of 2022? I know Houston maintained about 5,200 officers compared to Dallas's 3,000.
Yeah, it's an ongoing discussion. You look at the numbers in Dallas, you look at the numbers in Houston, you look at the numbers in New York, you look at the numbers in Chicago, and they far outpace us with about 40 plus officers per 100,000 individuals. We're in the Texas area, we're about 2 officers per 100,000 individuals. And there's a lot of factors in that. Obviously, our cities, Houston, Dallas, Texas cities are growing rapidly, whereas city budgets and county budgets are not growing to the same degree. So it's hard to increase city services at the rate that matches the growth in the population.
Yes, I'll certainly be following that as well, because we have a lot to improve upon. But I mean, both cities do. But again, those staggering, very disheartening numbers just pained me to read. And considering the events where people cause harm after they're released from jail for pretty violent crime, what must our systems in Dallas, Houston, or even across the state do to improve?
We want to see rehabilitation in prison. We have a group here in Houston called Bridges to Life. They're going into prisons. They're praying with prisoners. They're talking to them about life tools. There are men that are providing mentorship. There are programs like this across the state. We want to see mental health education. We want to see job training. We want to see rehabilitation in terms of family engagement, medical treatment. Obviously, that's a massive line item for prisons across the state of Texas. We'd like to see prisoners actually have the opportunity to have a job lined up, so they're not left with $50 at a bus stop in the middle of Houston or Dallas with really nowhere to go. And there are a lot of nonprofit organizations, and I'm sure city and county organizations that are working on that, but it's not enough. It's clearly not enough. So while we are very, very tough on crime, you sit with a victim of crime, someone who's lost their child, or dealt with a loved one who's been killed, you're going to understand why being tough on crime. You sit with the parent of a criminal who says, unless the criminal justice system gets involved, my son will die. Why is he being let loose to continue to offend and rack up all these charges? Please, we want the criminal justice system to intervene. So the criminal justice system has to be strict and swift and strong and just and fair. But on the other end, we've got to pour into these individuals. We are not sending them to prison to discard them. We are pouring into these individuals so that they will come out after they've served a just and fair punishment. They will come out with every asset and tool in place to contribute to society. And I'll say one other thing. There are organizations like Crimestoppers and many others that are looking at this entire system before anybody ever touches the criminal justice system. We are boots on the ground, kindergarten through 12th grade, talking to children about every possible tool we can so that they don't enter the criminal justice system, whether being a criminal or a victim. And I think that all-encompassing approach, we're working on it every day. Other nonprofits are working on it every day. And I think more people need to be involved.
My husband and I are attending a family tech talk night in a few weeks at our school. And I wondered if any of your documentation, any of your material or literature was being utilized by our, I guess it's called in Dallas, the Crimes Against Children Task Force, and a police department officer will be presenting that. Do they use any of your materials?
I mean, we know we train a majority of them, so I'm hoping they do. It's free and it's there for them to use. And, when we look at online safety with kids, we're looking at general online safety, and then we look at specific apps that are trending. We look at gaming, and of course the nexus of online activity and trafficking. But we expand that scope as needed. Certainly when it comes to educating parents, this is a huge personal interest of mine, being a mom of 3 kids, and spending a lot of time, with kids who say, I found myself in the worst possible area. I don't know how to get out of it. Parents who say, I'm pulling my hair out. I cannot follow technology. And other experts that say maybe the only solution is to keep kids offline, which is not a real solution. So I've found that I'm very interested in studying that space. But Crimestoppers, we're training law enforcement across the state. We're training schools. We're training parents. And of course, we're training the kids, and partnering wherever we can. Our resources are on our website. You can also come to a training virtually or in person every quarter. And certainly we'll bring the trainings out in the community because we're so passionate about it.
Yes, I can't wait to delve into that material. And I know you also wrote the book, The Online World, What You Think You Know and What You Don't. And as a mother, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you've written this resource, because I'm personally terrified. I mean, whenever you and I mentioned that the other day on our call about Dr. Laura Berman and her husband, Sam Chapman, they opened about their kid who died because he, I think, purchased fentanyl on Snapchat. He didn't know, right, that it was laced. He died. And so now they have enacted Sammy's Law to honor their son. But do you have tactical real life experience in your book?
Yes, I literally wrote this book after about 5 or 6 years of research, studying kids and what they were doing, studying predators and what they were doing, looking at parents and how they were responding to the space, and then following other experts who were giving everything that's bad and scary, but no real tools. And so I remembered sort of reading that What to Expect When You're Expecting book when you're pregnant. And I said, I want to create a tool, a one-stop shop for parents to dive into as they're raising their kids in the digital age, whether their kids are 5, 6, 7, 8, or their kids are 28 years old. I'll tell you, the book gives you the tools to navigate the space with your children's buy-in, because it cannot depend on mom, dad, whoever the caretaker is, figuring this out. It's impossible. There were 2.2 million apps when I was writing the store in the Apple Store. There were 3.8 million apps in the Google Store when I was writing this book. There is no way a parent is going to be able to navigate all of that and give their kids guidance on what to do with each specific trending app. It's impossible. So I created 16 buckets, rules that cover any app that could potentially be out there, that will give your kids guidelines and information on how to navigate them safely. Because again, this is a growing space. It's ever evolving. It's infinite, and we need help. And so I'm the book means a lot to me, and it's just been great to hear that it's been helping families and saving kids' lives.
Yes, well, I am buying some of these books and I'm giving them to my friends. How much are the books, and where can you purchase them?
It's funny because I'm so used to saying everything I offer in the world is free, but when you wite a book, you work with a publisher.
Oh, that can't be free.
I know, she keeps saying you can't just say the book's free. I believe the book is $20, $26, $27, $28. It's on Amazon. I do know that it's sold wherever books are sold. And miraculously it launched #1 on Amazon in 4 different categories. And certainly the unbelievable family, Dr. Laura Berman and Sam Chapman, who wrote the foreword, who said, families need this information, coming from a family that's lost a child, that had no idea the online space could be so dangerous. And, these are engaged, awesome, fabulous parents who had to walk in and see their son, Sammy, dead on the floor. It is horrific and it is horrifying. And they wanted to support any tool that could help families. And they wrote the foreword, and certainly they've just been powerhouses to help me get the message out and help Crime Stoppers. And we're using our army to help them with Sammy's Law. And we encourage everybody to go just search the hashtag Let Parents Protect. Sign the petition, join their fight to get laws changed in this country so that parents can at least monitor, use third-party apps to monitor social media websites that, bark and other technology that's not even allowed on TikTok or Snapchat or Instagram, Facebook. Let's at least try to change laws, do what we can to give parents every possible tool to help keep their kids safe.
Thank you, Rania. Thank you again. Now, let's step away from life's challenging realities and go on a journey into the skies atop Reunion Tower. Our excursion begins with a captivating tour of the GeoDeck, followed by a delightful culinary experience at Crown Block, where exceptional food and drinks await. Hey, we are at Reunion Tower. We're going to be up talking to a wonderful guide who's going to talk to us about the different landmarks in Dallas. Can't wait to bring you all with us. Okay, so I brought my lovely, beautiful, brilliant niece, Bryce Martin here. She is now working at the mansion and works in their bar. So she has a wonderful palate. I have a good palate as well, but as far as drinks and cocktails go, she is my master. So that's why I really wanted her palate here to make sure that it was able to be shared with you all.
So let's see, you have the Angels and Devils, which is Socorro Reposado, Lime, Cointreau, Agave, with charred tangerine and grapefruit with the tahini rim. So I've already tried it. I think that drink is perfectly balanced. Most tequila, or plays on margaritas, it's way too much agave or Cointreau, and you can't enjoy the other flavors of it. That's excellently done. If you're tequila people, I recommend coming here for sure. They have a lot of really beautiful options. I ordered, what did I order? The drink outside the box, which is Woodford Reserve, Cointreau, cinnamon syrup, orange bitters, and they smoked it at the table with applewood. My drink is delicious.
It is, let me try
Yes, try it. I was worried about the cinnamon because a lot of time, if you have a drink has cinnamon, it's very overpowering, but it's not on that. Isn't that excellent? I like that they smoke the glass and not the drink itself, because a lot of times when you smoke the liquid, that's all you're tasting. Nothing upsets me more when they don't have a good
wine by the
glass.
And you're like,
because I'm picky. See, for me, it's never even about the size of the list, it's definitely the quality, because I'm very picky when it comes to wine. I typically only drink old wines, French or Italian.
Dear Lord, this looks incredible. And the fact that they sprinkled popcorn.
The popcorn's incredible. Wait.
The popcorn's amazing.
Wait, I'm so confused.
Thank you. Why is it so good? Bacon roasted popcorn. And the great thing, it's an interesting palate cleanser in between.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm picking up chocolate. And is this chocolate on here? I'm pretty sure. I keep picking up this shaved chocolate, assuming that that's what it is, in conjunction with that burrata, the pears. It's so differently balanced. I've never had it before. Chocolate.
I'm excited. This is a work of art.
Yeah.
In every way. Visually, it's one of the prettiest dishes I've seen in a long time.
It really is.
Because I do think that is a bit of a lost art.